It starts as a small discomfort. Your partner is late. You feel this mild irritation in your feet. 20 seconds pass. Your eyes gaze around the dining area. It feels like everyone's watching. You sweat a bit and you can't sit still at your table. So, you reach for your phone. You numb yourself and feel instant relief. And just like that, it's gone. No tension, no silence, no judging faces, and your heartbeat is back to normal. We don't even notice how quickly we escape it. And it's not just here. I recently noticed that nothing feels interesting enough to follow. When I watch, read, listen, or explore, I'm not fully there. You skim, flip, drift, or skip instead. And oddly enough, this feels normal. But what if that's not harmless? We've never had more access to knowledge, and at the same time, we've never felt less curious. What if the problem isn't just overstimulation? What if it's something we haven't even noticed yet? If I had to gamble, I'd first bet on the age, because the obvious culprit is that we're just growing up. When I was younger, I used to have so many unhinged questions, like do fish ever get thirsty, or what career I'd have after kindergarten. At school, that's when things start to get a bit structured. We're learning templates, but we call them art styles or essays. There's still some experimentation, some projects, but the answers are predefined, and we need permission to speak. So naturally, I thought, this is it. Felt right. It's about age. But then something didn't add up, because I remembered my time off. When I travel abroad, I do feel more curious. I take a lot of photos, videos, taste every single thing, including some weird stuff like cheese ice cream. Yeah, it's an acquired taste. I guess I'm more open outside my home. Picture this moment when you get to a new place for the first time. You don't just want to check it off your list. You want to explore. You may go a bit further than you planned. Your eyes are glowing like when you were a kid. You feel fresh, energized, but also calmer deep inside. So maybe it's not about age. I know this sounds obvious, but maybe it's about this small thing we're having in our pockets. You see videos blaming technology, social media, and lately AI. And I get it. It's easy to focus on something external. It's even easier once we notice how exhausted we feel after a single session on our phone. So it makes sense. It clicks. I no longer explore, I just swipe. When I'm overloaded, when I feel like my life's too much. Yep, social media. When I can't focus on the book I'm reading. Yep, it's because my phone is buzzing. But if all of that were true, why do I feel more curious when I'm away? I don't think it's social media. And I don't think it's just your phone. Your place has changed. Your surroundings. You see, I remember times when I could sit in silence. I could hear my heartbeat or a neighbor's dog barking. Just me and 4 empty walls. I didn't have to speak or keep my hands busy. I could just be there, perfectly comfortable. I could finally daydream. I would close my eyes and imagine my future, tasting that funny-looking round yellow veggie, sipping cold brewed tea with my thoughts wandering around. There were no expectations, so I could be easily curious. There was space for that. But you know how we tend to avoid discomfort? For example, when we stand in a line, waiting, we start tapping our fingers. The air gets heavy, the room's temperature rises. We roll our eyes, sigh deeply, and look at the clock hands. 2 minutes feel like an hour. We hear it ticking almost in slow motion. We reach into our pockets pretending we got a text message, and then we put it back. We make the same thing 7 more times until someone calls our name. When I'm trying to fit in, rely on new tech, and generally be productive, I don't fear what's like not to do anything. Not thinking, moving, just standing still. It has become an odd feeling. It makes me uncomfortable, sometimes to the point I don't feel right in my own skin. So I desperately tried the only logical thing I can come up with. Brush it off, avoid it completely. And I keep making excuses. If it's not on the internet, it might not be worth knowing. If it's not loud, maybe it's not worth exploring. I spread my butter on a sandwich. I know it's made from milk, but I don't need to know how to milk a cow. The thing is, I'm not curious about the process, because I already understand enough. And if there's a gap, I can fill it out instantly, so why bother? Because that's where it gets dangerous. Suddenly, many things are like that. Checked, recognized, moved on. If it works, it works. On the surface, it may look actually quite safe. Nothing can really surprise me anymore, and if nothing can surprise me, there's nothing to be curious about. It's safe, but at the same time, so boring. No wonder we escape our realities. We rotate the same meals every other week. We sit in the same chair. At 1 p.m. every workday, we go to a meeting. We try to focus for another 2 hours, same tomorrow and the day after. There's no spark anymore. I learned that I have to optimize my life. Stick to routines, brush my teeth exactly at 7:05 a.m., dinner at the restaurant at 9 p.m., keep everything organized, put a meeting with an old friend in my calendar 3 weeks ahead because our schedules didn't match. And in the end, follow the usual path. School, work, kids, retirement. I heard so many times, you had your fun. Now it's serious life. My laptop's getting hot, so I'm busy typing on a keyboard and scratch my head 'cause the new client's request is, let's say, unusual. If something outside of my scope now, it has to wait. But hey, at least I have money for that all-inclusive getaway. So all these things together, having everything within reach, avoiding discomfort, not taking risks, optimizing life, made us more grounded than we had to be. It's ironic, because we remove things that actually made our lives curious. And I found out that my best memories are not curated. When I was in a boat watching dolphins and the way they moved, how they interacted, I didn't think about whether it was useful or not. I just got hypnotized. And I loved it. When I tried learning sound design, I kept staring at the waveform at 1 a.m. Everything around was quiet. My eyes were a bit dry and slightly tired. But my mind was actively searching for patterns. I didn't want to stop even if nobody would notice the difference. I just kept going. I was still curious. And yeah, sometimes I fell down. I couldn't tell what's wrong with my voice edit. I felt like I was wasting time and maybe I'll never figure it out. But I took the risk. And sure, sometimes it sucked. I didn't feel inspired or excited. But after some time, small things changed. I started noticing more, hearing, seeing, tasting, feeling things I didn't notice before, understanding just a bit more than I used to. And even though the world has changed, many things are still up to us. In the process of optimizing everything, we got afraid of having gaps in our lives. We don't want any bumps, but ironically, they move us forward. We need to get comfortable with boredom again. The feeling of just sitting there in an unfamiliar silence. It's like we feel the itch we can't scratch. When the next question comes up, instead of answering it right away, we just let it stay there. Maybe we can write it down or leave it there. There's no time for a gentle note and thinking that, yeah, I get it, but life is tough and everyone's busy, so just, I don't know, I'll think about it. No, we need to change something. I get it, it's uncomfortable at first, like sitting in the restaurant waiting for our partner to show up. I totally get it. I hated it in the beginning. Same when not knowing the answer instantly, especially when it's right there, one prompt away. But if I stopped and let it linger a bit, I try pushing through this uneasy feeling, and in that space that I intentionally created, I'm curious again. Sometimes I try to stay a bit longer with something I don't understand. Sometimes I try something I'm not good at. Or worse, I feel dumb. But I stay and I see what happens. Slowly, I'm getting more curious. I skim less, forget about skipping uncomfortable topics, and sometimes I don't even drift. Now, instead of feeling irritated, there's this gentle, alive tingling. I'm just sitting there, tapping my foot, and for a second, I'm not interrupting myself.